Okay, so a little preview of the top 14 games this weekend. We didn't quite have enough time to preview round five and do our predictions when we were on the podcast this week. Too busy talking about our travels to France over the weekend. Plenty to talk about as well in the top 14 generally. So we actually didn't even cover that much. So we wanted to do a little video as we're trying to do a little bit more of the previewing the round and giving our predictions. Now, Richard, top 14 round five. Some interesting fixtures in this round, I would say, as there always are. But a couple of really juicy ones, I reckon. Montpellier La Rochelle is the early one, though that's not on. I don't think any of them are on Premier Sport Live. Actually, I think they're all on the app. Montpellier La Rochelle, Clermont Montauban, Toulon Section Paloise, Perpignan against Stade Francais, Cast v Racing. The Saturday evening game is Bordeaux against Lyon, and then we've got another juicy one at the Stade Jean Daugé to finish off the weekend. Bayonne having seen off just Toulon last weekend, they have Stade Toulousain at the Stade Jean Daugé on Sunday evening for what could be quite an occasion. Your let's run through your predictions then, Rich. What are you going for?
Right, I have got, keep me honest here, I might have got these wrong. I think La Rochelle might shade it at Montpellier. As
Okay.
good a start to the season Montpellier have had. Clermont to beat Montauban. Toulon to beat Pau. Stade Francais to possibly make it three home defeats out of three for Perpignan. Um, Cast, I think, will shade it at home to Racing. Bordeaux to beat Lyon, and I wonder if Toulouse might finally breach Stade Jean Daugé on Sunday night. So I'm going to go Toulouse.
I am relatively similar. I'm going for Montpellier in the first game. I'm going for a draw niche in the
Oh,
Clermont v Montauban game. I am going to back against my boys section Paloise and go for Toulon. I'm also going for Stade down at Stade Émile. Also going for Cast. Bordeaux feels like probably the easiest one to call, I reckon. Bordeaux at home to Lyon. Although we were at that game in January and Lyon beat
yeah.
them at the only team to beat them at Stade Chaban-Damas all year. And then I'm also going for Toulouse to breach the Bayonne fortress of Stade Jean Daugé, which is sold out already. So more than 72 hours to go. It's their 40th sellout in a row at Stade Jean Daugé.
Oh,
We've got a bit of discussion there, Rich. Montpellier La Rochelle. I am going for Montpellier simply because I still don't think. Well, we were denied La Rochelle away at Toulon, weren't we, to kind of get an acid test of their away form.
hmm.
They were okay in the first game at Bordeaux, albeit Bordeaux are missing a few, and we've seen how that's impacted their form. I think I'm very tempted to go to La Rochelle, but I think generally their away form hasn't been fantastic over the last couple
Yeah,
of years, and I've not seen enough of La Rochelle this season, or we don't have enough game tape yet to know whether that terrible away form has swung around.
yeah. I mean, it's hard to disagree with that. I think with La Rochelle, it just feels to me like they're generally in a slightly better place than last year, obviously, because it was a bit of a shambles at points. Le Garrec feels like he's settled in superbly, has had a fantastic start to the season. You're right, there isn't much by way of away form to speak of, and Montpellier, obviously, last time out at home were pretty imperious against a pretty tasty looking Toulouse side, albeit who made quite a few errors. I just feel, I don't know, there's a little bit of maybe I'm coming at this more from a sort of romantic point of view, but I feel like La Rochelle are probably due a little bit of a statement win, and you could argue whether going to Montpellier is that. But I think with the signings they've made, they are clicking a little bit better than perhaps we'd anticipated with sort of new halfback pairing. And yeah, I just maybe fancy them to shade it. Typically up front are,
No,
have the
no,
heft.
no
They're obviously
skeleton.
still Skelton still not there.
Well,
Still, I
he came and then
think
he's gone back to Australia. He's playing
he's playing this weekend,
this
isn't he?
weekend in Perth, I think it is.
I think they're still missing Wardy still. still
Wardy, I
out.
think,
So
is
that
playing, but Sclavi will
because
also be away.
they've been playing Boudon in the second row, haven't they? Which has
Yeah.
been quite interesting. So maybe they're not quite as weighty as they have been in the past, albeit Paul Boudon is not exactly a small man. But I don't know. I just it's a bit of a gut feel that things are building towards quite a nice season for La Rochelle, and maybe that might be the start of it.
Yeah, I mean, I was tempted by that. I think no Skelton, and then they are on their third choice tight head with Sclavi away and Antonio still injured. So I think that, and Adoccio's in great form. I think with Montpellier, they are a team. They're quite a streaky team, aren't they? Like they when they're good, they
Yes.
win a few games, and when they're bad, they are quite terrible, and they lose quite a lot of games in a row. And they beat Toulouse. They got really good draw where they were the better side as the longer the game went on away at Montauban last week, the game we were at. And I think like they're actually looking a little bit settled. Maybe they have worked out Price and Miotti works, and Doshio's in good form, and Nucci, Billy, they're in good form. So yeah, I'm going to go for Montpellier in that one. Then talking of Montauban, after that final draw, my theory for this is purely that I find that teams in France, once they've had a draw, they then have a draw the next game.
I
We've seen it with Bourg-en-Bresse, I think it was in National. I'm pretty sure Lyon did it last year.
think Cass did it as well,
Cass
possibly.
did it. Yeah, it's a thing. So I think
I
money on the
like it.
draw for Montauban versus away at Clermont. I also think so. Clermont also missing. You can tell I looked at the Argentina team this morning. They are missing Kramer and Delguy still.
Yeah,
So still a few of their kind of key. Kramer isn't always a key player. He's relatively replaceable for them, which seems mad to say. But Delguy is one of their X Factor players. So yeah, I
fair
think
enough.
Clermont are still jury's out for me, even though they are showing signs of not being terrible. Um, it's just how much they've got. It could play into Montauban's hands. Their kind of limited game plan. Montauban could go for it. Hopefully they'll get Fafita back. I don't know, but oh yeah, Fred Quercy, I assume is still missing. We saw him in the. We didn't say this on the podcast. We saw him in the club shop. Somehow still banned for
That's
saying that.
ridiculous.
What does he say? He was that Fabien Galtier on a human level
The
was
Grand Mad.
was a big shit.
Yeah.
I think I think it's like the kind of French rugby equivalent of like treason is effectively what
Oh,
he's had his license revoked for, but it's
it's
madness, isn't it?
pathetic, isn't it? I find the whole thing absolutely insane. Like
Um,
the
but
idea that,
ultimately they could do with him, or they could do with their captain for sure. But yeah.
yes, I'd agree with that.
Um, but you're saying Clermont, you didn't see enough from
Yes.
Montauban last week to
Well,
suggest.
no, I thought Monson were good last week, but I think Claremont dusted a Poe side that had been going pretty well, not a
Yeah,
fortnight ago.
yeah,
And I don't think Monson are as strong as Poe. That's
yeah. Fair
my
enough.
reasoning.
Talking of Poe and away games, Toulon pretty good last week. I think they match up to Poe pretty well in that they've got the physicality around the park to neutralise the kind of quick speed of Poe. Olive on in line for a return, I believe. So
Yes.
that's be the
Yeah,
first time in
that's really
it's about a
exciting.
year. I think it was like it was around round five the last year that he got injured. Um, pretty happy. Yeah, I think we're both pretty happy with that. Should be a cracking game though. If Poe send a half decent side. One that's probably weird that we're weirdly in agreement on, perhaps. Perpignan Stade Francais. I'm kind of going reverse. I'm doing your Racing theory from last year. Like when as soon as you think that Perpignan like should win a game, you just back against them and they'll win a game. So like I'm backing against them in a weirdly counterintuitive way of thinking that if I back them, then they'll definitely lose. And I quite like to see Perpignan pick up a win just for the good of the league.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
I also
I
like
would
like even though Stad have been really good at home, their away form average
remains
against
terrible.
two teams they could do quite well against. They were terrible away last year, but I do think Perpignan. I don't know what's going on. We haven't heard anything really. Like there's no compared to other clubs in France. There's no mutiny or coaches getting sacked or anything like that. off the field stuff, but they are not picking up any points. So, and Stad do seem to be in good form. They're playing with confidence. Any
Yeah.
further thoughts on that, Rich?
No, not really. Other than perhaps it maybe you'll see like a bit of a maybe it's like a what you'd want if you're a Perpignan fan is that sort of galvanizing performance after a really difficult start and some of the off-field bits as well. So maybe I don't know. I'd like to think maybe there's a bit of a sting in the tail from Perpignan, but bluntly haven't really seen anything to suggest that yet, which probably means it'll be a 60-0 win
Yeah,
to the home side.
no Oviedo, no Ruiz. So again, Argentinians missing, which affects Perpignan more than a couple of other sides, especially because Oviedo is the man. Um, Cast. I was tempted to go against Cast, and go for Racing because Racing are in good form, but um, I think Cast there will be a backlash. Racing classic, like you think they're good, they'll be shit now.
Yeah, I think Cast. I mean, I think as I said on the pod earlier in the week, Cast for the first 40 minutes were very good against Toulouse the other day, and then it fully fell apart. Obviously, questions over. I assume Enzo Hervé comes straight in,
I think has
which
that
is
been
exciting.
confirmed?
It's all done. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. He's definitely in,
season
but
long loan presumably.
I don't know what the deal is with Popolan. Obviously, he went off injured as well. So that in itself is perhaps a little bit tricky. Whether start a brand new starting 10 who's been at the club basically a week, less than a week. But I think you're right. I think there'll be a bit of a backlash performance wise. I don't know if we might see Abraham Papali'i, um, because I don't think
He'll be
he's played.
back. Whether
Should
he's
be
whether he'll
back and
yeah,
hopefully starting. I'd like to think
outstanding
as
for
well.
Samoa in the World Cup qualifiers, albeit in a losing side.
We might see I don't think Quentin Walker was too far away either, so we might actually start seeing a front row reminiscent of the sort of strong ones from last year. And I wonder also if Racing I think have Montpellier at home in the round afterwards, and I wonder if they might rest a couple
That's a
ahead
Grete,
of.
that one.
Ooh, very nice. But yeah, I
One
wonder
of
if they
ones,
might
but yeah.
rest a couple ahead of that as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see that.
I do think Cast, while we were kind of watching them go down and watching fly halves go down for them at the Stade Ernest Vallon, we did say we were kind of discussing the options. Does feel like Enzo Hervé is a very Cast type player, kind of really solid, good kicker, kind of glues it all together. So if he does start and it goes well, could be brilliant, could work really well for Cast. I agree with all your points. Bordeaux, not going to lose to Lyon at home. I don't think. Not this time round. I think there's a lot of noise
Well,
about Bordeaux being crap. I think that's absolute nonsense. Like mutiny against Brew or Brew out, which is absolute nonsense. They are missing their captain and key man. They are missing one of France's best players last year in Moefana. I think give them a bit of slack. They've got a few other injuries. They'll be fine.
yeah,
Penne will be back. I reckon they'll probably score 50 points. Um, the big
yeah.
one then, the one that's probably a bit controversial, Bayonne last lost at Stade Jean Daget. I think it's probably about April time, April 2024, I reckon. Was probably their last loss. I'm guessing the month, but it was towards the back end of that season, 23-24, against Bordeaux. We are both saying Toulouse. Why?
Well, I think Toulouse are just increasingly imperious. I know we said this ahead of the game against Montpellier. But yeah, there was there was nothing in the performance I saw at Stade Ernest Vallon to suggest that they're anything but the best side in the league, regardless of what team they put out, unless against it's a real change up team. While depth, they seem to be just bringing a few guys back in, like week by week, a few more of the big hitters, and then you've got I don't know your Cramons, your Banoses, your Entamax, who feel
Teo and Teo,
they're
yeah.
a season Teo Entamax, so like a season further along because of the exposure they had last year and
Yeah.
are becoming real sort of not second team players, the sort of 1A, 1B, B types. And Bayonne, I mean, Bayonne have played some decent rugby, did well in the end. Like, it's no joke they got past Toulon last week. But I think both their home games this year they've won by 3 points, which doesn't suggest that perhaps the Stade Ronde is quite as impenetrable as it has been.
Well, that's the thing. You
Albeit,
got to understand, Rich. If you're going to beat Toulouse, you've got to score. You've got to score tries and you've got to score points to because you've got to accept that they're going to score tries.
I
That's a
think,
cliche for
yeah,
you there.
but I think maybe, yeah, I just think pound for pound they're a better side. And given that the home record hasn't been quite as convincing, shall we say, in the two games thus far, if it's on a knife edge, maybe it will fall to lose its way.
I also think there might be a after the Lord Mayor's show element with that kind of amazing drop goal from Sagons. I wonder if that's like there's just a bit of a come down, whether they'll take their eye off the ball because of that heroic win, as we see. But ultimately, we do, we know that we have said if Toulouse are fallible, it's at scrum and line out. Bayonne looking very good at scrum time last week against Toulon, who are very good at scrum time, and they were very good at the line out. They are very good defensive line out. So they do have the game plan to, or the players and the team to beat Toulouse. They will be at full noise because they're at home and they always go full noise at home. Toulouse, who knows what side they will send? How many of the stars will we see? Could be an absolute cracker. I mean, I could equally see Bayonne like cruising it. That's not out of the question. Like winning like
Yeah.
30 points to 12 or something. And Toulouse just kind of not turning up a little bit. I don't think they'll be quite as bad as Montpellier, but yeah. So fascinating round. Hopefully catch all of it on Premier Sports online. But let us know what you think. If you've got any questions as well, get in the comments and make sure you tell your friends to watch this video. And hopefully you found that interesting. But we will see you on the podcast next Monday. Au revoir.
Au revoir.